The bombshell just dropped. The AfD is now talking to the CDU. They're getting closer. That was leaked this morning, and now they've really admitted that the first talks are happening there. And secondly, when a reporter tried to manipulate statistics, even the reporter had to swallow hard, and Ulrich Siegmund laughed at him. This video is going absolutely viral, guys. Listen to the whole thing.
Possibly approaches you and tears down the firewall. Do you have a name for us?
If I mention a name here, I would definitely destroy that candidate.
And I think everyone who knows this channel knows exactly who I'm talking about, who is now talking to the AfD to get a somewhat stable government in the future. And we all know by autumn at the latest, this government will collapse, and by early January at the latest, there will be a vote of confidence and new elections here in Germany. If you would like to support this channel, I would be incredibly happy if you could give it a like and subscribe. And now please take a look at how the reporter from Welt reacted when he said that, where you can really say that's fake news. And take a look right away at Ulrich Siegmund's reaction.
They want a CDU-led government just about 1% ahead of an AfD-led one.
And what is that? Even I have to laugh at that. But well, let's do the math. 1925, that's 1% more for the CDU. Guys, the voters aren't buying it anymore. Yes, people follow the news, people are into the political game. And if 25% of Germans want an AfD chancellor, then the CDU isn't just 1% ahead with 19%. So, what's your opinion on this? Write it down below. How are you even supposed to explain this to people in a clear way? Yes, and Lutz Stordl works at Axel Springer, he's employed there, and Welt is part of Bild newspaper. But what are they trying to explain to us after the elections? Just suppose, for example, the AfD gets 51%, then the previous state parliament is convened, and then they say the minority has to govern over the majority. Oh, Bushman already said that once. Hey, alright. Alice Weidel explained pretty well this morning on news what kind of, let's say, fierce internal talks are currently going on in the CDU and how precarious this government is.
We wonder, when we look at the budget figures, how they actually plan to fix this.
Oh, maybe I can shed a little light on this, and I don't think they're actually asking themselves that. And I also don't think that the AfD would just go along with a minority government under this chancellor, but he'll get to know them soon enough. There are a few things there. Let's take a purely hypothetical example. Let's say Ukraine was highly corrupt and money was still transferred there without any control mechanisms, and it was known beforehand that this money would vanish through various channels. Then there is a limited risk for these politicians that they could later be held liable with their own assets. And that's why they will never risk letting the AfD come to power, or rather letting them govern. And for exactly this reason, Ms. Weidel will never comment on this. I, as a small YouTuber, can talk about it, but she will never say that she will be investigated afterwards. Will judge. You think that's just talk? Take a look at Rhineland-Palatinate, because there they have now made sure that the AfD doesn't have any investigative committees. Just imagine, during the huge pandemic, the press wouldn't have signed for them, and yes, it's possible. If there are documents that clearly prove that politicians acted illegally, can you use these investigative committees and later, with the majority in the relevant bodies, yes, involve the public prosecutor's office? And then it's a matter for the courts and prosecutors to decide whether these payments that were made were actually illegal. And then there's a bit of residual risk that these people might have to pay with their own assets. So it's not completely ruled out.
So irresponsible. They are leading this country into national bankruptcy and embezzling. You have to imagine the state, the government, is the trustee of Germany's public wealth and of German taxpayers' money, and it's being embezzled. Money is being thrown around recklessly.
So, and now comes the real kicker. If Ms. Weidel is right about that and it can be proven, then let me quickly read something to you. Article 34 of the Basic Law. Politicians can be held liable for that. And now, Section 75 of the Civil Servants Act. I have to read this out. According to that, you can be held liable for damages if you embezzle funds through gross negligence. And just imagine the AfD would need that. But 50.1% in the Bundestag, and at the same time, all hell would break loose. And now think about why the AfD can never govern. And of course, at the same time, we'll also talk about the aid to Ukraine. And I'll read you the next paragraphs. Paragraph 34 of the Federal Budget Code also states that expenditures may only be made to the extent and as early as necessary for an efficient and economical administration. This does not include embezzlement. If these paragraphs and articles apply, then the CDU has a huge problem. What we might still find in the last governments, which always included SPD, CDU, Greens, and also FDP working hand in hand, we don't even want to look at that. And what is found in the last governments, if it comes to that, then the AfD would definitely go through with it. But what do you think? Would they stop before that, or would they willingly destroy these parties?
What he's doing, in my opinion, would simply be a case for the prosecutor in the private sector. In office, he can do all of this without any problems.
I would have preferred a bit more political investigative effort here. And here's the thing, what I just read to you, he actually can't just do that. However, that would probably put the CDU under massive pressure. If there were to be a coalition between the CDU and AfD now, then of course they could just sweep it under the rug again, just for Germany. And that's exactly where the crucial point begins, why Julian Reif might have tried to distract a bit there. Because who is the main sponsor of news again? I forgot. At the same time, there will probably be comments again like, after this term, we will have a lot to forgive ourselves for. While, yes, we really have so much to forgive. Or will it come to the point here that maybe some politicians will end up taking the fall after all? Because it definitely can't go on like this here, but listen for yourselves.
If it were to come to a minority government now, let's say Friedrich Merz doesn't make it, would you help a minority government secure majorities?
I also want to make it clear it's not because of us.
So you're not willing to reach out right now?
Yes, always. Yes, we always work together on substantive issues.
If it's good for this country, you will vote along, even though you're not in government. It's a very simple matter, and that's why, dear Mr. Merz, go ahead, call a vote of confidence, and finally kick the SPD out. Do it tonight, and this country will be better off. The AfD will vote in favor of anything that will have a positive impact on this economy, and starting tomorrow or the day after, we can all sleep peacefully again.